was supposed to fall like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Different jazz, right? But I mean, I know it's real. So.
Your captain hit top producers to the board in one transaction.
The IAS is not telling me the whole fucking time. I wasn't paying attention about the concept.
No, you just, I can't sort of sometimes just last to go on.
Listing agent, you know,
Oh.
paper for funds, that type of then I looked at the house.
I hate when agents do that. I'm like, look, I don't want to bring them out.
Well, she Googled the guy. She was at the hospital. So it's back on all day. It's
That's right there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, it's 4.
Yeah, when you have that kind of money, it's almost insulting. It's like, I'm going to need some funds to show you. That's why agents do that. You want to go see the house or not? I have to find out. Yeah, I'm like, we're going to see it. I'm like, no, you don't. He's handing out and you can play that game. Oh, morning. I'm sure there's a good story around Georgia Bulldogs to go with that.
He's just dumb.
No. Make them come up.
He's not. So like my 5-year-old was supposed to go.
Am I doing? Yesterday after we left, he's sitting there with us.
I was like, if I
Trying to get him like a friend to do Halloween. So he's taking that.
Saturday night, two loads of meatballs, on shoes, and I'll show you. And I told my after, so I had planned to go to my daughter and oh, okay, great. I'm Heather. I'm Danielle's house. I'm like, one of the mortgage stores. Like, oh, yeah. Yes, we met. Yes, I'm sorry, but I didn't know if you were and I'm like, yeah, 9 months. Wow. So are you lucky? Yeah. Weird time. I have every hour. I have to take on this. It's about like the discipline and so what
I'll go back to where you went to. It's a plug-in. So right on the plug-in for 30 and then it flips over.
he's like, Dad wanted to go Saturday and have you stay with us. Oh, okay. So Dad, yeah. Which land a little cheaper. I did. Yeah. We'll let you go up. Really? It's not for now. For now. Yeah. I don't even know. I just got that one. It's just a reference point. Oh, yeah, but you can still. I can see the link. Yeah. Yeah. No, Daniel. We just put it in our others. Yeah, read it. Yeah. Just save her number. Give us a call. Let's start it up earlier. And I'm their assistant, so I go. And then I got
Hey, how are you doing? Oh, I had a meeting yesterday. Did you go to Sure. I might have been
that referral was great, but the local lender ended up. I would have been glad to go. Oh, exactly. And I think I did. It got spread. Right. Oh, that's sweet that you even followed. My mom also works on
Morning.
I'm Jim
Alexander.
There are plenty of other offices. Hi, Jim Alexander.
How are you?
Yes, I am. You want to go? No. Wait, isn't that where I met you?
Yeah.
Wait for new table time.
She went out and for a wedding and they went to
Always has some fun time.
Oh my God. And one of my dear friends, she has like an asthma, but her oxygen flows. No, that was yeah. I know it's kind of wild. I know. I thought she would travel. I think she went to get close.
Because he probably got the age at that rate when it's insurance. It's not insurance. It's so nice because you guys all that money.
I was just gonna, I love the, so did you, I knew we didn't have much on this yet, I thought this was really interesting, I want you to refer to. Oh, you weren't supposed to, I always.
Good morning, everybody. Let's get started. So, we're having our,
Excuse me, I was late.
go to your room. Anyway, guys, and I should have known this word, but I understand it's Columbus Day yesterday, and also it was what day yesterday?
Indigenous people.
People. And someone tell me what they know about indigenous people. I had to ask somebody what that word meant.
They were here first.
They were here first. Exactly right. Exactly right. Which I thought was cool, guys. So anyway, so it was Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. I was also it was plural, not singular. So guys, I learned a new word, indigenous. I love new words.
Sarah Fair is indigenous to our office.
She is exactly right, yes. Exactly right. So anyway, what did y'all do over the week? Anybody selling houses this weekend? All right, tell us about it, Rusty.
You know, it was a surprise, honestly. It was, there was no kitchen, the roof needs replaced, driveway needs replaced, 14,000 in structural issues, and it sold at list, and we had about 7 or 8 offers in 2 days.
What was the price?
$339 in Roswell.
Oh.
Good neighborhood.
And Rusty, tell us why, because you know we're hearing out there, oh, the market is slowed down, nothing's selling right now. Tell me why you think. Tell me again, it was a house with no
kitchen, no roof, no HVAC, 14,000 structural issues.
So, Rusty, is it a tear down?
One offer was for a tear down, the rest are, and I did a rehab estimate. Folks, as they were going through, it's going to be about 100,000 to rehab it, so they could still come out about 80 grand up. So it was a pretty good neighborhood, but a lot of work. And like I said, I was just surprised. I tried. Somebody gave me a technique of don't put pictures, so I just put the front and made people come out to see it. Because had I put the pictures in, I think a lot of the traffic would have been reduced because it.
Did you do an open house? Did you do an open house?
No, it was booked as soon as we went live. All weekend.
So that's going to be interesting people to talk about today in our discussion. Because guys, that just tells you that there are houses up that are still selling if it's the right what? Price range, right? Which is cool. So that's very interesting. Congratulations. And is it you think it's a solid offer?
Yes, it's a really good offer, and we have a backup too.
Right, guys. That's actually great. That's what I want to hear this morning because I keep hearing people at the market. It's like not good right now. So I'm like, okay, and because you're not working right now, is that what not good?
I have a lot more activity on my listings. I think coming out of fall break, there was a lot more activity this last week.
A lot more activity. I'd like to hear that. So the market is not DEAD.
No.
It is not the which is great. Okay, guys, anybody else have anything they want to share that went on this weekend? It's like good news or bad news or whatever. Not in the bad news. Yes, ma'am.
Sweet Smyrna turned 150 years old, and we celebrated with Trade and Toad Wet's Rocket in town. So, for all those, welcome to Smyrna. I've seen your sign there. So, if you don't know Smyrna, come on out and spend a little love. Enjoy some Smyrna.
Yeah, Smyrna is a wonderful place to live. Well, they have really done a nice job over there. The little village is cute as could be. Because you know, in Vinings, there's just, there's the Vinings Jubilee, and that's about it. You know what I mean? It's not really a downtown Vinings, you know what I mean? That's close you get over there. So Smyrna's done a really nice job for that. That's cool. Jeff.
Yes, so I just wanted to shout out for the MREA workshop that was last week in this office. And Tim and I got a lot out of it. And I just thought Steve Cow did a great job. And hats off to all the agents that gave up their 3 hours to come too.
He made it simple enough for me to get him to train, which is great. That's the thing in itself that I get what he's talking about. Hey guys, I will pass these around. Paige Morgan, farm your way to success. If you do not have a farm, but you're actively working, that means, and I don't mean putting corn in and that kind of stuff, but if you don't, guys, you need to come to this because, as you know, she dominates her farm area. And so guys, you will want to come to this and hear what she does because, guys, if you're not farming right now, that is another way for you to grow your business next year. And guys, I have no doubt that the business next year will be very good because of so much good stuff going on. So guys, please put this on your agenda to do.
But it's rehab.
Oh, here, give it back. We don't want to waste paper.
Any other business we need to talk about? Ron Thomas, come on up. Ron, hey Ron. All right, Ron. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Some of y'all have been here like Bill forever. This is the third time you've seen me in the same fashion, so I'm used to it now. But hopefully I'll be out of here.
He was skiing in south of France and.
Yeah, nothing glamorous. Picking up a duffel bag and ripped everything out of my shoulder. So, you know, once you get older, those tissues aren't like they used to be. At least that's what they tell me. So Carrie couldn't be here, so she wanted me to pass on a couple of things. Stephanie, you were right as far as activity. Our weekly contracts, which we get a report from Monday to Monday every week for purchase stuff, it went up 30% last week. And that may be because the week before was fall break, was down, but it wasn't down as much as we thought it would be. It was down a little bit, but it still went up 30 points, 30%. So, there's deals out there. But y'all know that. And two things I wanted to, Carrie wanted me to remind you of is Thursday night, we're having it's down in Buckhead over at the Southern Gentleman. She does a big thing down there, and just love you guys to come by. If you want to have drinks, some appetizers will be set out. Bring, co-op agents, other agents if you like. She's had a good turnout down in that one the last few times. So you're welcome to come. You get the valet, whatever, you get it reimbursed, or they stamp your ticket for the valet down there. So we'd love to have you if you want to come. And then next Tuesday, and you guys know, all of you guys know Cheryl King now that works for us and teaches.
We love Cheryl.
I will tell you,
Do we love Cheryl?
She's the preeminent teacher. And she does extremely well at it. You've had her classes, you know it. She's a big attribute to our firm because she's in demand by, if we wanted her if she just wanted to have a school and be a teacher, she would be booked all the time. Because she does a great job and she's a great resource for you guys and for me, especially now. There are some challenges with regards to contracts and special stipulations. I mean, she's one of the 5 or 6 people that determine, advisory opinions that are set out by, by your trade group as well as on the real estate commission. I mean, so she's top notch in that regard, and I use her all the time. I mean, sometimes you guys will ask me something I'm not completely 100% sure about from not a legality standpoint, but the way it needs to be postured or set up. And she's right on it. So, she's got a class, and again, next Tuesday from 10 to 1, 3-hour CE class. They'll show me the money and the financing and the guard contract. It's over in Alpharetta. It's not in our Alpharetta office, but it's at 2520 Northwinds Parkway. I know Generally's probably putting that up there. You guys can get that, but that's next Tuesday. And you know, she gets so many, I don't even recall, and I don't look at all of them, but I get the positive reviews that she gets on the teaching classes. I encourage you guys to go to, because she gets a lot of it. And always continue, we value everything you guys do for us. And you know, like I said, the market's showing, there's some different things that we haven't had to deal with. You haven't had to deal with, not necessarily me, but you haven't had to deal with in the last few years. So don't hesitate to reach out. If you guys need anything, and I'm gonna go down and do this 10 o'clock closing. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. So I got a phone call this weekend, and this agent asked me, she said, well, I've got a BBA signed, this buyer came and had a BBA signed. And we looked at 2 houses, and she's seen the forward. All of a sudden, we write an offer, and the listing agent calls me and says, oh, but I've shown her that house twice. You're a parachuting agent. I was the threshold agent that took her across the threshold. So you're not entitled to any commission. What do y'all say about that? What do you think the answer is?
Well, it's a bad idea for the listing agent, because who's she representing there, herself or her client?
Yeah, that's why I pay to stay here. Smart people like that says it's a bad idea for who first?
The agent.
The seller. Is she representing his or her best interest? Fabulous. What else would you say?
You have a signed BBA with that agent?
Pardon me?
Did she have a signed BBA with that agent?
Nope, did not. Okay, too bad, okay, all
Did
right.
she have anything in the listing that said, if we show it first?
Nope. And that is often not good for the
Seller
seller
either.
either. Okay. What else, so who do you think the agent that has the BBA signed has got the rights right now?
No BBA.
Huh?
No, because said there's no BBA.
No, the agent, our agent has got a BBA signed, the listing agent did not.
She should have it, I would think.
Who
I would think the buyer's agent should have the right.
Okay.
How
all right.
did the buyer find the listing?
Pardon me?
How did the buyer find the listing?
Through Zillow. That's how we got the client, was through Zillow.
So it was never sent through a portal. Who was the procuring cause or whatever you call
Ah.
it? How did the buyer
The
find
listing
it?
agent was a procuring cause.
Yeah, but
She
Because it
showed
came
it
from-
to them twice.
But does the
But did they get it
buyer
in the
brokerage
email
say
first
that if
from
anybody
their
else
agent?
showed it previously, it's null and void? I mean.
well, what is that listing
She
agent
doesn't have a
wanting?
client, there's no client relationship there.
You got guys, there's lots of good questions, and so anyway, procuring cause is a great question, I like that. I said, you're smart, I like that. What else did you say, what did you ask?
What is the listing agent wanting? Because whoever, it doesn't really matter, it's like, what, at the end of the day, they just need to come to terms
The
and.
listing agent wants us to step out because.
Completely? And represent both sides? And the buyer and the seller are okay with that?
Buyers not want that. But that part
Does the
didn't.
seller want that?
Buyer does not want that.
Does the
Buyer
seller,
says to our agent, I want you to represent me.
What
what does the seller say?
So I didn't know that.
Right.
But the buyer and seller have to agree in writing for dual agency.
They let the new agent do it, they treat me as a client, so.
But wouldn't the seller
As
still have to
a
acknowledge that?
custom, huh?
The seller would still have to acknowledge that,
Acknowledge what?
if
That
the
they're representing
listing
the
agent
customer.
represented them as a customer.
It says so in the contract.
Yeah.
So the seller has to agree to it as well.
The seller does not have to agree to it, and somebody tell me this, I had read this one time.
Yeah, it's in the contract,
But-
that the
but-
seller has to agree to.
I'm
it.
sorry, let me ask the question, okay? So the customer acknowledgement form, the seller's got to agree to that also? I don't think, is that what it says?
It's in,
I don't think it says that. I think that that's between the agent and the buyer's agent and the buyer's, well, I think, but, I mean, I think you're up there selling, not me, so
I guess it's on the purchase and sale that they have to sign.
No, that's a client though. Yeah, the purchase and sale that would show the agents representing. But yeah.
Guys, regardless though, when the agent called me, she said, well, I was told by another agent that I was 100% right because I had the BBA and the BBA controls. Right?
No.
Right?
Great area.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. I'm reading into my web. The guys, the answer is we don't know.
Great.
Because if she, I'm gonna use she generically, or he showed them the house last week, twice, stayed in contact with them and didn't abandon them,
Yeah, great.
then they very well likely could be the procuring
Yeah,
cause.
great.
Very likely be. But if they showed it to them and then just did not get back to them, they could not be the one procuring cause. So what do you think I told the agent to do?
Represent the
Keep going.
client and let us bring you the offer.
Just write the offer. Write the offer, just write the offer, and we'll figure that later, because what the other agent can do is to take us to the board of realtors and say, we think we're procuring calls, and a jury of our peers would do what?
Make a
decide.
decision.
They would decide exactly right, yes. So that's, it's not always cut and dry, it depends on who has stayed in contact with them. Just because they call you and you get a BBA signed, but could they owe you a commission? They could, I owe you a commission. So guys, it's not as easy as you think it is. And do you think I love those calls? Well, I love them because I'm so interested in the way that they happen. Everybody thinks that they are right. And so that's it's very, very interesting. I like talking about those because I get to think outside the box. To rent or not to rent, that is the question. Let me turn it off so I can see it. To rent or not to rent is the question. And the answer is, if you want to buy, is it good or bad for you based on prices and rates? Reed Clark. Reed, you want to tell us about that? Come on up.
Yeah, thank you.
Danielle.
Danielle.
Good morning.
Everybody. Okay, I'm Reed, and this is Danielle. We want to be your real estate Prozac this morning. So, first of all, we want to thank Heather for the pumpkins. And they came from Rick's across the street. So, you know, supporting the local guys. If y'all ever get a chance, go over there and just down home people. And they got mighty good lunch if you like.
Yes, the barbecue.
Barbecue. I mean, it's like, you know, peas and potatoes and country food, stuff like that. So, Danielle, did you want to talk about this one, or do you want me to do it?
I can start.
Okay.
We have this graphic up just to kind of.
Can y'all read that?
No. Is there
Probably still can't. I don't know if we can make it any bigger. We can send it out to you also. So this is what's called a Johari window. It's a decision-making grid where you put down the options and you start talking about what are the possible outcomes if A happens and B happens, or if B happens and A happens, and you come out with possible outcomes, and then it helps you determine which is the better choice. So if you guys can read this, go ahead.
Yeah, we just think it's a good idea right now to target to renters. So this graphic we can email out, or, you know, and if you ever wanted to partner to kind of target apartment complexes or renters right now, we'd be happy to do a homebuyer class, or, you know, whatever you're thinking. But I think in this state of Georgia, there's no restrictions on how much your rent can go up.
Right.
I've had several conversations with buyers that their rent's going up like $600-800 a month. So they're like really motivated to buy. Anyways, just that's all I have.
So what happens here is the options with rates, either they're going to go down or they go up. I guess theoretically they could stay the same, right? So, but if people are making decisions based on, I think prices are too high, I think rates are too high, I'm going to wait. Well, there's a flaw in that, because several things could happen in that dynamic. If rates go down and prices go up, then you haven't benefited from waiting. If rates go up and prices go up, you're going to be worse. The only possible positive outcome is if the prices go down and rates go down. That's the ideal situation. But again, what's the likelihood of both of those things happening? And sometimes I think if for the right client, just seeing something like that, and again, remember the right client, because we're going to have a buyer consultation, we're going to have a client consultation, we're going to talk to the person and figure out where they're coming from, right? Is this a totally emotion-driven? Is it a logic-driven decision they're making? and try to put something in front of them to go, I really want to buy it, but I think I need to wait. Well, this tells them that they shouldn't wait, they should go ahead. And then when you mix in the other part of the equation, which is you're probably not going to be stuck with this interest rate for 30 years. You probably will get a chance to refinance. Hopefully this will help somebody get off the fence, and that's what we wanted to put in your hands. I was just thinking about it a few weeks ago, that this is really logical, so I think it will be helpful to you. Another thing I wanted to mention to you is make sure when you guys choose a mortgage partner, I think somebody knows how to read a contract is important. I got one this week. So I've got a good friend of mine, ex-Marine, neat guy, love him and his wife to pieces. They contracted with a local builder to build a house for them last January. And so the build's coming along, things are getting, to where they need to be. And so they reached out to me about 2 weeks ago and said, we're ready to start the loan process. Great, super qualified, all that's fantastic. Send me the contract. Well, they sent me the contract. It was a build contract. So I started going through it and I realized this builder has no obligation, no contractual obligation to sell them this house. There's no mention of the conveyance of the property at all in that contract. He basically has said, I, Jimbo Builder, or Bob the Builder, whichever case may be.
Or Mary the Builder.
Or it could be Mary, but it's Bob. Anyway, I will build this house to these specs on this property for you for this price during this time period. But they don't own the property. He owns the property. Now think about so if he gets, and the dad is the one who entered the contract, the son is now the one who's taken over because dad is sick. And he says, we're gonna need to raise the price $40,000. Now, the good thing about it is, the last line of the contract says, after X date, all terms of this contract shall be enforced and, not changeable. So the price is the price. He can't change the price. But what if he realizes, I don't have to sell you this house. I can put it on the market and sell it for what I want to sell. Now, the real estate agent, who is not a Keller Williams agent, said, yeah, well, I think this will work. I think this contract's okay. I mean, my broker looked at it. He said it's all right. And I said, well, I've had 2 real estate attorneys look at it, and they say it's not. So I think it's great if you have partners that can help you guys more than just the loan. I mean, sometimes you need somebody to talk through something with. We're not going to give you advice, but in this case, at least I was able to talk to the agent and say, hey, look, you're probably going to need to figure out another way. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to write an amendment, and in the amendment, she's going to put specific verbiage about the transfer of the property. And I think the builder is going to sign it because it also, the VA financing exhibit that was not in the original contract is going to be another thing they're going to present to him. So my guess is they're going to get this document signed, and by that, the buyer is going to be protected. But what an interesting situation. And I mean, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes it's a lot of fun, the stuff that we get to do, right? I mean, do y'all like that, like digging into a contract? I know you don't like the conflict, but anyway, so we want to be that partner for you. I know our friends at Supreme wanted to do the same thing, so we appreciate you guys very much.
So the builder did not require the financing to be specific in their own contract? Wow.
All he said was, I'm gonna build you this house on this property for this price.
He owns the land, the
He
builder?
owns the land. That's why you guys are so cotton picking important. Cotton picking. Listen, what you do is important. They're probably gonna be okay in this situation, but not necessarily because honestly, their agent did not represent them the way they should have. So don't ever downplay the importance of what you guys do, okay? Thanks a lot, appreciate you. And always ask Sherry, Jim, Lon, the answers about this
Don't ask
question.
Jim content questions. Jim will not know the answer. He knows the more complicated, which I love. All right, guys, Y4C2Ts. That is our belief system. Let's see, Jill, which is your favorite one today?
Win-win.
Why is win-win your favorite one today?
Because I think that it takes it out of like this is a fight. And people quickly go there. So when you're like, okay, let's just make it like, if we can all come to terms and everybody's happy, great, and if not, we'll part friends.
Do you think this agent this weekend that was trying to get us to back out of our BBA and represent our buyer, you think she was thinking win-win?
Nope.
Nope.
Well, here's something interesting. She has her own company now. You know where she used to be? Keller Williams. So guys, you know what she's thinking about right now? She's thinking about, we want the whole commission, not just half the commission. And so guys, anyway, I love win-win. One of my favorite ones. I have a lot of favorite ones. All right. I'm gonna turn this off, guys, so I can see it. You can see it. Turn it back on. All right, guys. So just get in the zone. You want to talk about that, please? You were in the zone yesterday, weren't you?
We were in the zone yesterday, even though it was Indigenous People Day. We were all self-employed, so we get to decide, when we work and when we don't work. And so I decided I was going to be working yesterday, and had 8 people come and really set out about changing mindset on conversations, not trying to sell something. Okay, open up with conversations. It was awesome, and we're going to be doing it every Monday and Wednesday at 8:30. So whether you're in the PC coaching program or you're an agent that just like, I need to do something. So that's going to be awesome. Another thing I'm going to be launching is the end of the month, the Day of Uncomfortable. We have a Day of Uncomfortable because we all have things that we're very, very uncomfortable with. So we're going to get together and throw up and do the things we got to do.
So this starts at 8:30.
In the next
8:30, and it's up here. So
guys, in the next year, you're gonna be agents gonna go, oh my God, the market is just so terrible. I can't make any money to go to McDonald's and get a job. Or the ones that go, my business is fabulous because I'm working, I'm doing my lead generation activities. And I shifted my mind and I'm in the zone working now. So guys, you got to figure out which one you're gonna be in. Whether you're gonna be in the market is bad, we're in a recession. Hey, great. So anyway, guys, just get in the zone. Thank you, Rob. That is his idea totally, which I love. Mortgage one-on-one with Silverton, Wednesdays, October 11th, 11 lead general room. You want to say anything about that at all, Danielle?
Yes. On Wednesday, we will be teaching mortgage one-on-one, or one-on-one, and we're looking forward to seeing as many people. I think we only have maybe 10 people, so if anyone else wants to come, we'd love to see as many people as possible.
Guys, I highly recommend that you always let a mortgage person talk to your person, pre-qualify them, but it is good for you to be able to at least answer the basic questions so you know how the process works. Like this morning, Reed taught me, this is my 39th year in the real estate business, that if you miss a payment and you're 30 days late on your payment, you probably will not qualify for a mortgage after that. Right, Reed?
That's correct.
And I did not know that, guys, and so that's something that I learned just this morning, that if you miss one payment, and you're with that you probably will not qualify for a mortgage in the next year, which I know. So guys, Mortgage one-on-one, please come do that. It's time to take back financial peace. Angela.
We will be starting on Wednesday. It's an opportunity to start building out for retirement, legacy, and for right now. Learning some tools and tracks to get you on track with your money.
And Angela, thank you so much for this, guys. And the people we're talking to may not even be here, guys. But guys, at some point you may say, I don't really want to put you in my car anymore. I want to be able to go to the beach for the weekend when I want to. And guys, it is so nice to know that you can go do what you want to do, regardless of where the market is. So guys, this will get your financial, at this time of the year, your finances in a better condition to where you know what's going on. You know that the money's not just in your checking accounts in different places. So please do that, and it starts tomorrow. Guys, we're going to have to reschedule this. Courtney's had something come up, so just realize it's going to be at a later date, but we will do this again probably in November. We're still working on the date. Career night's coming up, guys. Michelle will be doing it with Rob, and it's going to be Thursday, October the 13th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And at this point, it's going to be virtual. So, guys, if you have somebody to say, hey, I'd like to know more about real estate, send them here, and Rob and Michelle will talk to them, and they will let you send your people and make sure that we get them into your downline, and you can make one of those wonderful checks that come on the 21st month called what? Profit. Productivity week, got a couple things going on. On Monday, that's what this flyer is about right here. Paige Morgan is going to talk about how you do farming. Guys, if you don't have a farm area right now, you need to come to this because that's one more way that you can learn how to grow anything. And then Tuesday, there's going to be a team meeting. Where I'm working on a topic right now. And then guys, put this down. You do not want to miss Doug Duncan. And I know he's an economist. And guys, for you to know, here is what the actual truth is, not the truth according to CNN or Fox. Guys, just realize, so come do this, put it on your calendar. It's free. We're providing this for you. And then on Friday, there's going to be a chili cook-off. Anyone want to talk about that?
Read.
Well, as the reigning chili champion, I would just like to welcome all comers, and I'm sure it's going to be a great contest. And second place is not bad, guys. Seriously, it'll be fine.
Do we have to
We should
sign
just bring
up to
cornbread or
hold this
something,
by?
right?
Yeah, that's right. Just bring cornbread. Everything else will be fine. How do they sign up?
I'll send out a link again.
Okay.
It's the productivity week link.
Anyway, guys, so just realize this is going on, a couple things that week, and so guys, just put it on your calendars, scan me. Trunk or treat, Saturday, October the 22nd, and here at Killian's Atlanta North, 3 to 5 p.m. It's basically you back your car up into the parking lot and pull it in and out of your trunk. You give away candy. Some people like to dress up and be a witch.
There's a little more to it than that, though.
All right, tell us exactly
All
right.
your witches, please come. So sign the QR code. If you're a new agent, it's a great opportunity to talk to people that you know and try to get people out here to meet with you. We're gonna have a lot of events for the kids like we did last year. So we need you to RSVP if you want to be a trunker so that we know how many cars we're gonna have parked with the little decorations. And there were some really cool ones last year. And then also we want to know how many people you've invited to come. So we have enough pumpkins for the kids to decorate, face painting, all that happy stuff. So a giant Jenga, it should be a good time. But please RSVP.
It was
because
fabulous last year, wasn't it?
it was exhausting. But yeah. And then I'm sure we'll be putting a call out saying we would love some help with cookie donations. We can have our little cookie walk instead of a cake walk. The kids really love that, and that was a big hit last year. So even if you're not going to come, we would love you to just drop off some cookies.
Do you need help setting up, or
Oh,
are you doing
yes.
it all yourself?
No. Liz is not here. She's already setting up now. So thank you, Liz, if you're on the phone. But yes, we definitely could use some helpers because we'll have just some little stations of things and drag out some tables and chairs so they can have the face painting or the pumpkin decorating, that kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely. If you invited people, you better be here. So don't send your people without you. But that's the whole point is you want to come and talk to them in a nice, fun atmosphere. And we had a great turnout last year, so it should be pretty good this year.
Nice, it really is fun.
And George is not playing that day, so.
And George is not playing, exactly right, Joe.
That usually comes into play.
But my grandson's still running in a.
We did, check their schedule.
In a track thing, so anyways, guys, I'm so excited about this because this is gonna be different than any type of holiday party we ever had before. It's gonna be at Punch Bowl Social. It is a non-kid event. Sorry, guys. So just put it down. It's going to be on December 9th, 6 to 9 p.m. More details to come, but it's going to be at Punch Bowl Social with lots of activities there, guys. It's going to be fun. So please put that on your calendar.
Can we bring spouses?
What'd you ask?
Spouses? Yes.
Oh, 100% yes. So there'll be more details to come, but spouses are encouraged to come. All right, guys, one of my favorite things to do is to recognize our cappers, which capping means what?
Keep all your money.
You're exactly right. You get to keep 100% of your commission, guys. That is our goal. And in the Rawls group, guess who has the highest percentage of cappers? We do, exactly right, guys, because guys, we really work towards that to make sure that you all cap. That is our goal. And when you all cap, how much company dollar do we get? So why are we so excited about that? Because guys, that's what we want you to do. This is about a win-win, while being able to cap and be able to keep the money. The first one is Queen. Is Queen here? Let's give her a hand, you all. Yay, Queen, first time capper. That's right. Tammy Barbaretti, Reedy, she is also not here, but let's give her a hand. Amber Bruder, let's give her a hand, you all. Way to go, Amber. Amanda Coe, been here longer than me, caps every single year. special needs mama. She's a great lady. Let's give her a hand, you all. Let's give her a hand. She's a great lady. Travis Leach also with JO team, right? Travis is capping again. Let's give her a hand. There goes Travis. Missy Momberg, my friend. Let's give her a hand. Yeah, Missy. You're all my friends. Okay, I can say that. Okay. Brian McDaniel, been here longer than me. Let's give him a hand. There you go, Brian. Yeah. Anita and Craig Reisinger, the team, he's in commercial. Anita does more of the sort of getting her clients to move from their house into assisted living. She is the expert in that. They're going to come in a few weeks and talk about what they do. So guys, they're amazing, and they've been here longer than me also, and they're both capped. Let's give them a hand. Great husband and wife team. Let's give them a hand. Ben Cat, let's give them a hand. Capping again. There you go, Ben Cat. Mary Walford! Get up, Mary. Also, one of our math coaches right here. Let's give him a hand. I've really known each other since our junior Pruitt days. And he didn't learn then, so he's followed me here. So
I'm still teaching you, Jim.
I know, I still need it too, Mary. I need it for sure, buddy. That's good. All right, who else is next? Lessons learned. Rob.
All right, so I get a lot of the questions about contracts and what's going on. And this is something that I've been dealing with as an agent for a while. And so I got this question yesterday. House was built in 1983. The agent, the listing agent for this contract is saying that her broker requires lead-based paint. Has anyone had that happen?
Yes.
Yes.
It's happening a lot. A lot of times it's with Harry Norman. And this is what it is, it's with Harry Norman. So, our agent sent that to her client right away. What does the client do when she
Freak
gets
out.
that?
Oh my God.
Okay, so client has, I didn't know if these exist, right? A special needs dog, right? And the dog, D-O-G, special needs, I thought you were gonna say special needs child or whatever, dog. And she's afraid the dog is gonna chew on things, and so now buyer's like, well, they're asking me to do it, so there must be something there, right? So total freak out. How would you handle that? Jill, you were one of the first to say, oh my God, that happens to me.
I mean, you can explain to them that lead-based paint wasn't used after 1978. You can send them the pamphlet. You can explain to them that it's an unnecessary form. Our office doesn't require. I don't know why Harry Norman does, but it comes up. It's a non-issue.
Exactly. Buyer, though, is now on freakout mode.
They can do a test.
So the agent had no idea that there is a test that you could do. So I let her know. I said, here's the deal. Forget about this form, okay? If you tell that person now, you don't have to do anything, don't sign it, right? And I said to her, everyone close their eyes for a second. Think about your garage. Have you had a can of paint in there for more than 5 years? Everybody has, right? So could that have happened? Right? Could someone have used old paint? And if your buyer is super freaked out, do you want to be the one saying, you don't need that? No. So, 2 ways to handle it. She went to her buyer, and that buyer is going to have Donnie from Amerispec do a lead test, right? What I said was, listen, and this is the way I would handle it, is Mr. and Mrs. Listing Agent, your broker is requiring this. So before I bring this to my buyer, right, at your expense, your broker's expense, please, now that you brought this up, prove to us there's no lead-based paint in there.
Yes.
Okay, at their cost, because her buyer is going to pay whatever the fee is for the test. Okay, so there's 2 ways to handle it, right? The right way to handle it is what your client is worried about And there's no when it comes to the due diligence period of telling them, oh, it's a brand new house. You don't need to get it inspected. Never say that, that's right. So just think, it doesn't matter what the form says, okay? Have I had people sign the form and it's no big deal? Yeah, because they weren't alarmed, right? As soon as you see an alarm in somebody, it's like, wait a minute, forget about the real estate rules, emotional intelligence. If they're freaking out about something like that, are they the type of people that are gonna call you 8 months later about something? Like if the refrigerator dies or whatever, we all have those clients. And if a dog chews on it, and the dog dies, right? You think, so it's just like, let's handle this the easy way. Let your buyer do what they wanna do. Because the old rule in real estate, and we've all heard it, is caveat emptor. Buyer beware. It's not seller beware, it's buyer beware. So, something we learned this week.
Can you make the buyer sign it?
No.
Can you make the buyer sign it?
No.
You make them, you can make
See,
them.
y'all don't know, or you don't answer, you're afraid to be right or wrong.
No.
Can you make the buyer sign it?
No.
Well, you cannot make the buyer sign it, right? No. Is it part of the contract? No. Can you make them sign it? No. So Rob, well said. I can't.
What if they put it as a fine?
What do I do? All right, you be the buyer. I'm Mr. Buyer, I had a phone call from the seller, and they want you to sign this form. To me, what you do.
How would I know? If it is not
I
there.
don't understand that question. So, I mean, do you want to sign it? Is this in the home? Do you want to sign it, or what do you want to do?
Which part should I sign? You saying that I have 10 days for inspection, or I don't have any knowledge? Which part do you want me to sign?
And that's really up to you, because I don't know anything about the property. Could there be lead-based paint in there? Could be. I do not know, so what would you like to do?
Please guide me.
Well, again, I don't know whether lead-based paint there, and all it is an acknowledgement. If there is lead-based paint there, will that be a problem for you?
Yes, there is a possibility, it's a health issue.
Good question. I think you need to look at that and make sure this is the right property for you. Now, guys, me saying that in my ivory tower, is y'all really say,
Yeah,
I
it's
get
not
that.
the deal, come on.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right, Jim.
But it's managing, it had nothing to do with the lead-based paint.
Yeah.
It was, she's freaking out. So and guess what happens when she gets that home inspection? Are you gonna have the same conversations bring her down? You're gonna have the same type of conversations. So start it out with emotional intelligence. Yes?
But no, isn't it according to the contract class this year, they said, when the moment that you put an offer, you have to the listing agent has to have that information about the lead-based paint in the moment, and this is what it was taught in the class of contract, in the moment that they give you the listing. And then the seller has to provide information if they have it, and the moment that you call and you're interested on that property, they should send you that form, and then you will know if there is anything to be concerned. If they sign there is nothing, then that's what you tell your buyer. And if there is something, they should give you that something, because I cannot put an offer without that lead-based paint form, right?
Love it, right? So I'm not
That's what they
saying,
say.
so I'm not saying yes or no. Here's what I did yesterday. And I know the contract pretty good. I pull it up, okay? And it says right here, under federal law, this exhibit must be signed by seller and buyer, and the buyer provided with a copy of the lead paint brochure. This agreement must be filled out for all housing built prior to 1978. Ma'am, the house that we're buying was built in 2000. It doesn't matter if it was built in 81, 83 like this one, or in 2020. Because I've had them from Harry Norman, a 2018 house, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yes, but that's exactly, what the lawyer said. said, for example, you represent the buyer in order to avoid that, to have that conflict, like she was saying, what part, the listing agent has to have that conversation with the seller and get, what you know about lead-based paint in your house, and you have to sign this form now. They really have that information, they provide that information, and it has to be put in there from the lens. And then the moment I look at that house and share it with my client, that information should be there, and the form is not that a new form I'm going to fill out. It's a form that the listing agent should have put there. That's the way they put it, so I think that protects you from saying, like there is something or not bad in the house, and then the buyer will.
Can I make it easier on you?
Yeah, I think that makes it easier, isn't it?
You said a lot, right? No, and I'm not getting down to you, but you said a lot, and you're excited about it, right? So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, right? During our due diligence period, you could do whatever you want. You can get any inspection. Let me share a story. We just talked to Kelly last week, right? And what she said, news stories, real life story. My first deal ever, right? Right over here by Wheeler High School. No power lines, no nothing. And the lady wanted to get, I didn't even know what it existed except for maybe at NASA, an electromagnetic field test, right? I'm like, she's like, what do you think of that? I'm like, if it's concerning yours, I think you should do it, right? So she ordered it, and I'm freaking out because I'm thinking cell phones, Wi-Fi, right? Maybe the guy next door has a ham radio or something like that. Yeah, but you know what? That's what made her comfortable.
Guys, at the end of the day, it's what your client wants you to do.
Always the client.
If you have a question whether you have to do it or not, call your broker. Right? Relax, come on up.
Go to Facebook.
Don't go to Facebook, that's the way. Tell you all, so, I will first ask these three very successful agents to introduce themselves, tell them a little about them and when they came to Keller Williams, and sort of what most of their business is. So let's start with you, Jill. You've been the longest.
I'm Jill Harris. I've been a licensed agent for 20 years.
Started at 18.
Exactly. Mainly with Keller Williams. I started with a smaller company first, but once I sold about 3 houses, I was like, I'm gonna need some help here. So I've been with Keller Williams basically the whole time.
My name's Stephanie Venable. I've been licensed since 2012 and been with Keller Williams the entire time. I was in the Woodstock office first and then came here in 14.
We stole it. Okay.
Miriam DePriest, and I started in 2015, but my first full year was 2016, and this little exercise kind of got me back to reviewing some of the fundamentals. Came out of broadcasting as a journalist, and then I sold broadcast advertising for 20 years, which is very data-driven, and so I tend to really think on paper, and I love data, and I feel like it's one of the biggest advantages of our office and our broker. I feel like the MMOs are solid gold. I feel like they simplify everything so much. So I did put some things on paper because I think on paper, so if it's helpful.
And what was your favorite radio station that you worked with?
Well, I worked for 2 behemoths. One was, when I was on the air, it was WSB AM 750.
Who listened to WSB 750? Well, we did, exactly right, yes. And when she was
And
on the air.
and I worked my way up from a reporter to a news anchor, to co-host for a couple of years, and then saw the people with all the control in their lives. And Jill had a similar experience, having been on the air at the Weather Channel. The people who seemed to have the most control were in sales. So I decided I really believed in that power of radio. And this kind of goes back to what Kelly Allen was saying last week, like, what is your belief? And so I decided, man, I'm gonna sell this. And what's funny is it wasn't when times were going well that I figured out how well radio worked. Is if you made a single mistake. You say one name of one town wrong, we would get hundreds of calls. So that's when you're like, wow, this is powerful. Kind of like any of us, when you're successful, yes, we ask our clients, please send me a review. But what do we have to really be careful? Like, if anything goes wrong, right? You gotta make good on that very fast because anyway, so it was, that was my genesis. Oh, and then I felt lucky enough I job shared in sales, and we got recruited 4 times by 4 different companies as a team, which is really interesting to me. And the last 10 years of my career was B103, which is one of the largest urban stations in America. And it was so cool. Like, you couldn't get two more different stations, AM 750 and then B103. So.
I love that. All right, so fast forward, you're now in real estate. So I want to ask this question. We'll start with you, Miriam. Miriam, how have you seen the listing market change in the past 3 months?
Well, this is where, as you know, I'm like, why are you asking me? I took a little bit of a hiatus after the craziness on purpose. And so I have one listing right now. This is where Stephanie is going to be so valuable. And another thing that Kelly said last week that I loved so much is if you're not on a team, have your people, have your tribe, Kelly called it. Jill is one of my tribes. So I do feel like I have this wonderful group that we share and do price opinions, but I'm not high volume the way you guys are. So I am, my reporting background makes me pick up the phone easily all the time to talk to other agents, not just my people here, but when I was listing a home between 700 and 800, I literally I pulled everything listed 700 to 800 in Walton. I looked at what's sitting, what sold quickly, why are these sitting, and I called every single listing agent, and I thought I'd get prickly agents. What are you doing calling me? And it was the absolute opposite. They were so grateful, so relieved. I'm like, oh my God, I thought it was just me. What are you hearing? And I shared with what I was hearing around the market. And that's when I was able to take that information back, because it's now, like, data is history. As good as our data is, that's rear view. So when I was able to tell my seller, after I told him we were too high priced anyway, when I was able to say, I've spoken to every single listing agent, every home listed 700 to 800. And let me tell you what we're seeing, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't just my opinion versus his. It was, wow, she's got her finger to the wind. And, so that's what I would say is my friends are getting fewer listings, including me. I feel like my experiences here somewhat mirrors the market in that I had all buyers first quarter, right? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And then all of a sudden I had all listings, right, when the market was shifting and all the sellers were experiencing grief that they didn't fly off the shelf, and why aren't you bringing me 11 offers, 20 offers, 43 offers? And now I'm back to almost all buyers. So I just see a few less listings.
Stephanie, what are you seeing out there in change in the past 3 months?
Well, I agree with you too, the less listings. I mean, I haven't been on as many appointments as I usually would go at this time of year, but I probably have about 10 right now active, and they've been just slow moving. Some of them they're still getting activity, it's just not turning as fast as obviously everybody would like for it to. So for me, it's been a lot of conversations with my current clients, just keep giving them data, like I'm running the numbers and things like that, and also just having conversations around trying to keep them calm and just explain to them that the market has shifted a little bit.
Okay, right. So we both say it's shifted a little bit. I think we talk about that a little bit. Okay, Jill, what are you seeing? What are you telling your sellers now? What are you seeing out there right now?
Well, how many sellers? So again, the imposter syndrome here. I have one listing now, it's under contract. I had one that closed. But I think that come June is when it started shifting. And like Miriam, all of a sudden I had all these sellers. I was like, great.
We commiserated a little bit.
And I think that you can just, you have to look at, what the market of the moment is and take it off yourself, because we all like to take it all in. Like for me, when it goes well, we're all posting like, I sold it for this much and blah, 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 highest in the neighborhood, as if we built the house.
Right.
So I would say be careful about all of that and just be humble. It's all, we definitely have more information than they have, right? So think about that. We know more than they do. We have more information than they do. So I try to look at it as like, I take it off me, like I'm taking all this, like, oh my God, they're, I want them to like me, to respect me, I want to have the right answer. How can I help them, right? Like I have this information, how can I help them be successful? But yes, come June, things change. That's when I started getting sellers. of course, and now I have a few buyers who are still thinking they're gonna sit on the sidelines. But yeah, I mean, right here, changed a lot.
So what conversations are you having with your sellers now, if any, that are different than 3, 4, 5 months ago?
So Jeremy Trask does our monthly stats, and I love them. Like, I eagerly wait for them. And this is September, so he just emailed it yesterday since we were closed. I just asked him to send it directly. So this highlighted part is what I look at first every time I'm going to price. What do we absolutely not want to happen? You don't want to fail. And second, what do we really not want to have to happen? We don't want to have to reduce. So those to me are the red alerts, right? So I always go first, just out of curiosity, to what's not selling and why is it not selling. So this is September. The failure rate a year ago was 14.9. This is for the whole market. And it's almost 1 out of 3 in September. So that's the very first thing I say to my clients. Hey, the good news is we are still in a seller's market. And I show them that data and I said, but here's what we have to look out for. 1/3 of all listings failed to sell in September. And then I say, and guess what else is kind of crazy? And I told them this in the peak as well, when they were always wanting to list way too high. Not only do we have the great graphs that show forever and ever, you can always list too high, but I said I would bring them that graph. And in fact, I have it in this information. Even in March, 11.1 of listings failed to sell. Like, that was still the peak. Would you want to be the 1 in 10 where everything was getting multiple offers and going crazy high? But like, that's how I would settle my sellers. I love data, and I would say, here's what we don't want to be, and this is what happens if you price too high for market conditions, for your condition. And it just kind of would settle them back down, and then I'll show them, here are the ones, and I would even do a grid that would show the percent above sale price that things had just sold for that previous month. And I'd rank it. Yeah, look at this. This one sold for 114%, and this one 107, and this 105, 104, 103, 33, 100. And then I'd show them the other half that had sold below list price, and those that had expired or withdrawn. And I would show them why, and we know why. The ones that are perfect still fly off the shelf, or are such an incredible value in an area that people want with great upside potential. There's always a reason, but I always show my sellers what is failing as well as what's winning. So that is the big thing. 1 out of 3 didn't sell in September. We got to be super careful.
Okay, and Stephanie, what type of different conversations are you having with your sellers right now that you may not have had 3 to 6 months ago? Anything different?
Yeah, I mean, active listings wise, because before you barely had time to have a conversation. It was more like, here's your offer for 5 of them. So now it's, I do it at least weekly or maybe every couple days. I mean, obviously the data is not going to change significantly week to week, but I'm constantly giving them updates on what's happening with their micro market, like, you know, what's selling, what hasn't sold, just trying to stay on top of it so they don't think, what is she doing? Where'd she go? You know, like just having keep continual conversations is what was taking more effort, but it's just the norm. That was the norm.
So now you're having to, rather than saying, here are your 15 offers, you're having to say, let me tell you why your house is not selling. Is that a change, you all, everybody? Is that a change? That's a change, okay, right, Shelley? Yes, sir, Rob.
It sounds like what y'all are saying is the data, right, takes you out of it, right? Chart Masters is a gift, right? It's Keller Williams only that has Chart Masters, okay? It's truly a gift on those micro markets. And what Stephanie was saying is what she's providing for her clients is a high customer service experience. She's not a ghost, like hiding that I'm afraid we gotta bring price down. And we've all taken listings and pushed the number, right, just a little bit, because, hey, the market allowed us to. Well, now, 30% are failing, and it's okay to walk away from a listing sometimes. You know, I remember when I got in the business, what was it? It's always better to be the second wife, right? And the third agent, right? Because the other two just went in and said, okay, they put a sign in the front yard. As soon as it's in there, it's your fault. And if you hold firm to that and let it get a little uncomfortable in that appointment, it shows that you know what you're talking about based on numbers to get them to their goal. You only get paid when their goal is achieved.
Yeah, and if you're not a ghost, if you're continuing to have conversations when you do need to make a price reduction or something needs to change, because obviously it's not working, it's a lot easier.
A lot easier.
They just trust you at that point. They're like, okay, you've been here the whole time. You have vested interest in it closing too, obviously. So.
Okay, you said you have 10 listings right now, which I consider to be a lot. The 10 listings right now. Would you have had 10 listings last year at this time, or would they all be sold?
Most of them would. I would have like one or two at a time because they'd be.
Exactly right, yes. So how do you as an agent think about, oh my God, I've got 10 listings now? Is that a positive thing, or are you thinking, oh my God, what if they don't sell? Where's your mindset right now?
They'll sell. It's just a matter of, will my clients give me enough time to get them sold? Really.
Guys, is that a change?
Yes.
Is that a change? Will my clients do what?
Give me enough time.
All right, so who's been in here, been in real estate for more than 10 years? Like, how long do we used to want listings for?
A year.
A year?
At the
90 days.
At least
6
90
months,
days.
6 months,
Yeah,
6
exactly right,
months,
yeah.
6 months.
6
yeah.
months, exactly right,
6
yeah.
months, yeah.
Anybody, yes ma'am, how long?
Oh, I wasn't gonna
Yes,
add another
You
question.
guys, so has it changed now to where maybe, what's the normal listing time up to this point?
For a while, it's been 30 days.
90 days still? 30 days? What's the normal listing time now? Anybody know?
I would do 6 months.
Lillian, what's the normal listing time for you right now?
2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months? Okay. Are you thinking about going to 3 to 5 months now, or not yet?
Where market will take it.
Huh? Okay. Okay, great. And why do you want it now 2 to 5 months? Because they may do what? Take that long for it to sell it. Do you want them to give it to someone else at whatever company, and they reduce it, and you don't get the listing, and it's sold? No, we don't want that to happen, okay? So are you having to have different conversations? Now, ma'am, let's go back to you for 1 second, okay? And you are now telling your sellers up front, this is the reason that your house may not sell. What's that conversation look like?
Well, another thing that I do, Kimberly, can you open my other one? There's something interesting to me. So traditional fact, okay, if you'll go down to number 4. This is fascinating to me because when sellers would first ask me, what's the best time to sell? I don't like, even still, dealing with gut. I just like the data because it makes us very arm in arm. I don't tell them anything. I share, here's what's happening, here's what history tells us, here's where it feels like we're going. And when sellers would ask me, well, what's my best time to sell? I would do pretty in-depth presentations. Some, you just walk them through, you just tell them in 30 seconds. And there's always somebody who loves data and they love the color-coded spreadsheet. But I had noticed that, okay, peak pricing tended in 16, 17, 18 to happen in spring, might get a bump in the December, right? Why? Because of the school year. And then the lowest pricing was always either late fall, which is the blue, or winter was the lowest median price every year. So even when a market is going up, is it a straight line up? No. Will you go to the one that's right before that? Sorry. Yeah, look, I mean, the line goes zoo, 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 even when it's going up. So the key thing is the market is dynamic. As we know, it changes week to week. As we know, pricing doesn't just go up, it goes up and then it tends to go back down. Well, it changed a little bit and then it changed a lot in the pandemic. Why? Because everybody was virtual. So I tried to take some of this chaotic thinking out and say, yes, we do want to understand the pressure people feel because of interest rates. By the way, I just got my daughter under contract on her first purchase because she's still going to do better, not throwing rent out the window. She was able to do a 15-year and lock in a 5.5% rate still right now. Is that still historically pretty good? Yes. So kind of back to Kelly Allen's, what do you believe? So I tell high sellers this story. We are in a period that is traditionally slower, where median prices go down. So we have to price for that. What are the pros and cons? Everything's two sides of a coin. Why would you list when median prices are lower? Well, because there's less competition, because the buyers out there are serious, and because we really don't know what's going to happen next year. Could it go back to the craziness of our traditional springs? Heck yes, and I think it will, but what if it doesn't? What if right now is your best chance to sell at the highest price and retain the growth that's been in the market? Like, then they realize if you're not trying to say, oh, you need to sell now, and you're saying, let's weigh the pros and cons, which is more important to you, then it's that to me is we're back to some fundamentals. We're back to school cycle selling. We're back to lower median prices in the wintertime. But there's some advantages to that. So that's how my conversation.
So Jill, when you're asked what's the best time to sell by seller, what's your typical advice?
Some of the same. I also really like data because again, it takes it off me. And there are trends. The last few years, the trends have kind of gone out the window. And I think that as long as inventory is so low, I don't think you can really count on those typical trends this year either. So that's the time to sell is always right now.
Best time to sell is when?
Now.
Right now, exactly
Yeah.
right.
When you're ready, that's right, when you're ready,
Shelley,
don't rush.
Vernon, what do you say when you I ask you what's the right time to sell?
Today,
Why is that?
because inventory today, and I think that Paige will agree with me, is a lot less than it was in 2008, 2009, 2010, when everybody was going cuckoo crazy. And, with short sales and foreclosure, so it's, we don't have enough inventory, we don't. And if you put the house at the right price, you will sell it, you will get offers.
All right, for everybody's edification, Rusty, would you show one more time with the house that you put on the contract this weekend and what was wrong with it, just so everybody here, some people right here when you talk about it, tell us one more time. You put on the market when and tell them just quickly about the house.
Well, I mean, it was a good experience for me because I've never listed a rehab. I walked it and I was kind of like, is anybody gonna buy this? There was no heat, no AC.
No heat, no AC.
The walls were opened up where they had started to rewire. There was a stove and a sink, no kitchen cabinets. The bathroom was, well, nothing had been done since 1980. And at least 20 windows were from 1980. There was a rotted out back door with a mouse hole through it. The basement had moisture issues. The brick had slid this far forward on the back left hand corner of the house. And we had an estimate for $14,000 in repairs. Needed a roof, the driveway you could literally just pick up because it was in chunks. This rock bamboo growing up against the side of the house. Some kind of weird flower with puffy things on it that were the second level window from the backyard. And we listed it Friday, sold it Saturday.
We're back up. So guys, why did a house that had roof repairs, no HVAC, you name it, why did that house sell so quickly this weekend? Because it breaks everything that I was thinking about that needs to be redone if it's gonna sell. Why did it happen?
Price and location.
Where was it located?
Say it again?
Price and location.
Price and location.
Yeah, Roswell, right by the Chattanooga Nature Center, 2 miles from downtown.
There you go.
There you go.
Ugly people get married. There's something for everybody.
So you all, what is that? What does that tell you three about the market right now? What does it tell you three about the market right now? Stephanie, what about you? What does it tell you about the market now? When he's able to put something like that under contract in one day, what does it tell you about the market?
I mean, it just depends on your product, I guess, really. I mean, we keep hearing it, there's low inventory. There's still buyers out there. They might be a little scared right now with interest rates, but they'll come around. So, I mean, as far as pricing, I mean, you price for what you have, what product you have.
Jill, what does it tell you?
Well, I agree. I think that as a buyer, now it's time to go and everybody else is scared, why not? Nobody else has even looking at them. But, I mean, I guess the bottom line question is like, okay, fine, we all know that if it's the right price, it's gonna sell. What's the right price? How do I get to the right price?
Exactly.
And for me, what I've been telling people, you know, after June, basically, like, okay, let's forget what happened in the spring. What we would normally do is go back to what sold in the last 3 months or 6 months. Those are our comps. We all need to take off our rose-colored glasses. Like, those people all got a bonus, right? So it's not about prices having fallen as much as now you don't get the bonus. So we started with a high list price where we were all like, put it out there, and then we got more than that, right? So it's not so much that prices have dropped, is what I'm saying is that just craziness, all that extra is now gone. They don't have to pay you extra. So I always tried to compare it to a year back because I felt like that took care of that up and down of the market, right? Like if you're going on in October and you're comparing it to everything that sold in the spring, well, even in a normal year, you're comparing it to stuff that sold on the high end, right? So if you go back a whole year to make sure you didn't miss some data points in there that would, you know, later be like, aha. So I'm like, okay, let's forget everything that sold in the last 6 months. Let's go to the previous 6 months because that was sort of a normal year, right? Like a normal progression. And it was still a seller's market then, just like it is now. So I started comparing it there. And if I have to use stuff that's in the last 6 months, I'm like, well, we gotta take something off from it. And if you look back, I went the other night to like different price ranges. In 400 to 600,000, the average from January to June, they're getting 108%. Okay, we'll take 8% off, like even if they were getting 100%. So I was like, I mean, it's all arbitrary. This is not a perfect science. It's not a calculus problem that you'll get right or wrong. And so I'm like, okay, let's take 5% off. We're looking at the last 6 months, and I'm trying to compare it to the previous 6 months. And how I get buy-in from my seller is, as I told the one I did most recently, I was like, I would much rather go on at a price that maybe we got too low and get multiple offers and let the market, you know, bid it up and compare it to what sold in the last 6 months with our rose-colored glasses on, go on at 450 and sit around here waiting for one offer that's low. We ended up going on at 400. In the last year, prices had sold from 400 to 450 on this townhome. We're on at 400 and we got 415. She could not have been happier, and it's so much more fun getting 7 offers, which is what we got, than getting 1 offer and people saying like, oh no one loves my house. I love my house. I'm like, they will love your house when the price is right, just like you did.
Okay, all right. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Shelley.
So I wonder if we can do, just thinking about for a moment, the reverse in terms of, let's put ourselves in the buyer situation, and let's say we wanted to go buy a house for 600,000, and a year ago, and I put 10% down, okay, 600, and I'm buying the house 10% down, and taking those payments, and now going back to the lender and say, okay, if they can afford and they're comfortable with those payments, let's go back and see how much they can afford today.
Okay, right.
And based on that, you can say, well, looks to me like you really can afford 535. Are you, Mr. Buyer, willing?
We've been trying to market to, I haven't figured it out, the exact science yet, but rather than doing a price reduction, it's actually more beneficial if we give the buyers some sort of incentive.
Yep.
So we've been like, my seller wanted to reduce, that's great, but that's really probably not gonna bring the traffic in. So we're trying to find creative ways to help the buyers offset
And
their
I've
costs.
seen that on listing where they say we will contribute $5,000 to reduce interest rate.
Yeah.
Okay, so incentives, you think are helping right now? Or in other words, I'm now seeing builder incentives. Are y'all seeing that?
Yeah.
Builder incentives are out
Even
there.
Open Doors paying more commission.
What's that?
I said even Open Doors.
Open Doors doing what?
Notice that.
They're having to pay more commission now. They're no longer that. I'm gonna get offers without you, so they're doing that, okay? And so guys, you're having to be a little more what? Creative, okay? All right? Anybody else? Any thoughts on this? Anybody at all? Anybody? Paige, you think anything? Of course you are. Are you having different conversations with your sellers right now?
I am.
Like,
I'm
tell-
having,
tell
and
us
I have
what's
different
different.
sellers right now.
What?
Of our 8 listings, which is more than we've had
Yep.
in a long time because we couldn't keep them on the board because they were going under contract. But of the 8, 3 are retreads. They've already been on the market and they have failed with another agent. And one was listed at 1.35 million, and I have it now listed at 950. After a new kitchen, bath, and paint went in.
All right, give us those numbers one more time.
It was listed this spring for 1.34. They put in a new kitchen, a new master bath, new carpet in the master bedroom, and painted all the dark wood, and we have it on the market for 950. But guess what? It still hadn't sold.
Right.
Where is it located?
Where's it? Is it in your neighborhood?
I can't think of a more exciting location. Views of the Chattahoochee backs up to Hyde Park in the Walton School District. I mean, keep going. I mean, it's everything, except for one thing. It has a blemish on it. And I see that everything that is being relisted did have a blemish on it, or it would have sold. This is a $1 million drive under.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, I have one that's going live today that is also from a listing that failed, and it was, I think, 1.1. I'm putting it on the market for 900 after having the entire house repainted on the inside to a more neutral color and staging.
So would you call the market over $1 million right now in East Cobb? Would you call it buyer or seller market?
It's a seller's market. It's
Still
still a
seller's
seller's
market?
market.
Same thing here?
Just this morning, just for grins, I pulled the absorption report for the month of September, and it's just fascinating. And of course, it's gotta be careful when it's just 1 month, there's low data, so it can be skewed, but 550 to 599, 5 months of inventory. So I thought, no way. So I pulled 550 to 599. I was like, oh yeah, they've been sitting there. And then I saw it says 700 to 799, 6 months of inventory. I want to see this. 6 months is a balanced market. So yes, we get all the information and it's great. And Kimberly, if you go back to the September stats, it'd be kind of cool for us to all see that. But gosh, I went back in and I looked at every listing. I was like, okay, yeah, because one of the things we're all also seeing in Paige is exactly what you said. There was this forgiveness among buyers for kitchens that weren't open to living areas, for drive-unders, for, a little bit of street noise, right? Well, is that over? Yes. So that's how we have to advise our sellers. 6 months ago, you could have priced similarly to this home you keep telling me about that flew off the shelf, but you're a drive under and you have 2 inches in your backyard. So we're gonna have to adjust for that in price, where we didn't have to 6 months ago. Buyers were so desperate. And what you did was brilliant, because you didn't just price it to say, well, it needs 100 grand, so we're gonna list it 100 grand less than the value would be. You listed it 180 less than what the value would be. There has to be a return on investment for the buyers willing to do that work and risk that money and take that time. So that was brilliant. You not only priced it right, then you showed the buyers and their agents, boy, what a slam dunk for you. And that's how we all have to get so much more.
Angela, you had come right back, you had a question, you know, what's going on, I didn't let you answer your question. What's your question?
No, I was just gonna point out that we're going back to the basics of what we did 3 years ago. We're having conversations.
I'm confused.
And for agents who haven't been licensed for the last 3 years, understanding that this is real estate. This is having those weekly conversations with your sellers and updating them on the market like we used to, and retraining their mind to forget what happened. And this is really real estate.
I like that, I like that. Yes, ma'am.
So I just have two questions. So, Miriam, how are you creative with the buyers? Because we talk about the listings and that's good, but for example, I'm finding the same thing situation. I'm hiring lots of buyers and I just can't push them to shoot their lot. Like, you know, there is this townhome, it's 800, and you said, you know, and the second question is, how much is to advise them to put below the price? Because now they are asking, okay, Marianne, it has been on the market for 3 weeks, it's 800, I mean, how much should I pay? Because I'm not going to pay full price, it's not, the house is beautiful, it's nice, it's what she needs, but I cannot push her enough to move forward. So I don't know, like, maybe there are buyers who pay more in that situation, that they just don't want to, they like the house, they bought, they see it, but they just, I don't know, as an agent, I can't find a way to push them to take an offer. But they're waiting.
I tell my sellers, don't be insulted by any offer ever, even in the peak. Don't ever not respond, even if you say thank you so much for coming in 200,000 below, and here's our counter offer, and you're right at list. It's so dumb for anybody to be insulted, because you can use that offer as leverage and tell other people that you have off. So same for my buyers. I will walk them through, but will you scroll down, just keep going. Keep going. Oh, that's it. Okay, but I think it's number 5, but yeah. Okay, so price adjustment. So it's so easy in your own FMLS. You can do your own view. I have like 5 different views. I have sale price to list price and days on market. I have price adjustments. It's so easy to just download that, zip, do the Excel and do, you know, okay, what have the price adjustments been? So I'll share this with sellers, I'll share this with buyers. If they're saying, well, can we come in under? In the peak of the market in Sandy Springs, somebody hired me who didn't like the fact that their previous agent had not let them negotiate when they first bought the house in my neighborhood. And then they'd seen that the house that they had wanted to put a lower offer on, that their agent said, you can't do that, had sold for less. So they did not go back to that agent. So I always tell my agents, my buyers, let's figure out how we want to serve it up so it sounds like a win-win. And we got a house in Sandy Springs for 240 below list.
Wow.
If anybody wants to talk about that later, I will, because it was an interesting finesse kind of thing. But so I'm in such a different phase, and I didn't do it to be reverse psychology. I'm very fortunate that I'm doing this because I love it. It's not that I have to have a paycheck, and I just have this thing where I feel if I always act in the best interests of my clients and the people on the other side, the money's going to take care of itself, the transactions will take care of themselves, and I don't mind if I get a little hiatus, which is different than people who need to be getting their...
Respectful to you, you do the same thing when you need the money, so you're not changed one little bit.
But I guess
it's always a message of your
well,
client.
so this is what's interesting to me. When I go into listing appointments, I will tell them what I just sincerely believe, and then they'll say, well, that's not what the other agent said, and I said, I respect that so much, and I support you 100% if you go with other agents. Said, I feel like I have to tell you what I believe. What my experience tells me is in your best interest, but it will not hurt my And the funny thing is, I probably don't go on enough listing appointments because I generally get the listings. They can tell I just literally only want what's in their best interest. So if buyers are afraid, I walk them through, I show them things like, you know, how many, this was 700 to 800. More than half had been on the market 30 days. When Jim first asked me this, I thought, I'm gonna play around. So that was sold on 925. Nearly half had been price reduced. So I just look at the chunky price reductions, and then I see, well, how much below list price are they selling? And then also you have your gut. If you know they're $80,000 too high because of the repairs needed, I would say there's no harm in putting in a low offer. So then what do? It's how we phrase it, so on this Sandy Springs listing, you know, first you find out the motivation of the seller, right? Their flexibility, what do they need to happen? Well, this was a divorce situation. They clearly needed to get it done. And so it was a rare case where normally I think you should always put an offer on paper. I said not in this case, because we don't want them using our offer to go fishing. So I'm gonna have this nice conversation with the agent. I'm gonna be super respectful and deferential. And we know there might be no interest in your seller even considering an offer like this. But let me tell you why. This is what they're thinking. And if you find any value in us putting this on paper, this is what we're gonna do. And it started a great conversation that led to a great transaction on a beautiful house. I honestly, property itself is probably worth the $950 that they pay for it. So, so to your point, sorry for the ramble. Your buyers, they're scared. So I explained that sellers are scared too. They're afraid they're not going to sell their house. There's no offers on it. This could be the best thing that happened to them if we come in 50 below, 75 below. In my case, $240,000 below. And you won't know until you try. And it kind of keeps them in the game. And then sometimes they see, well, it wasn't that bad an experience, or of course the seller's probably going to counter. Like, I don't know, keeping everybody in the game by just.
I think communication is the key. That you're communicating with the other agent. Y'all are like, here's what I'm thinking, let's tell me what you think. So it's okay, that helps a lot. I agree with that. So I did get an initial comment.
I just think that when we're trying to tell a seller when is the best time to put their house on the market, when they ask that question, I don't think we should answer it.
Okay, all right.
Because I don't think that we're qualified to answer it, and I don't care what the statistics say.
And that's what works best for you.
And I think the reason for that is, and a bit of a zinger there, is not just don't answer it now. You don't know what their motivation is. And you've got to dig and find their motivation, because it might be the best time in the world for them to put their home on the market tonight, because husband has lost his job and blah, blah, blah. Why are you selling? That makes all the difference in the world about when you put your house on the market. If you're just lollygagging and you want to know, when can I get the most money for my house? Well, I don't know. It depends. Where do you want to go? What buying cycle are you going to be in on the other side? It's just not a cut and dry answer. And you know that I have said all along that our market is cyclical, and that it is continuing to be cyclical. But I think that the most important thing that we can do is find out why. Why are you moving?
100%.
And why am I here today? Why am I not here in 3 months if you don't need to move for 3 months? Why was I not here 6 months ago when your husband first lost his job before you went into this situation? Why am I here today?
All right, well, last question. I know we're going to move it, okay, very quickly. How do you see the market next spring? What does your crystal ball say?
No idea.
Julie, thoughts on that? Oh, you've been in business for a long time, 20 years. Any thoughts?
I think there'll be more sellers because people are just gonna always have to buy and sell. So there's,
That's it.
and people will get more used to the idea of where the interest rates are, so buyers will stop being so scared, they'll all figure it out. Right now, everybody's hiding behind a rock.
Okay, all right. Definitely.
What the market's gonna be in the spring? I mean, I just am honest, I don't know. I just tell people, I don't know. I mean, I don't, but I'm never scared, like, the market's always changing and I, whatever it is, we'll just embrace it and move forward.
Miriam?
Has it ever been more dynamic? I mean, the only constant is change. Could any of us have predicted the last 3 years now? It's really driving me crazy, the people who are going to profit from scaring everyone. There is a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes when people tell you. So I don't believe that. I believe that there's gonna be some great pros and cons in spring, just as always. And if you win on the other side, like if you're selling and you're not gonna get this crazy peak you thought you would, guess what? You can negotiate more on the buy side. Like keeping everyone calm through data especially, to me is
Anybody else have any thoughts about the market next spring before we sort of move on? Anybody at all? Anybody have any thoughts?
It will be busy.
They're gonna be busy? Okay.
People who were outlined during the last 2 years, they finally have a chance to get a chance. And even though interest rate is going up, people feeling less scared of uncertainty, how much extra should I put?
Right.
And would my house worth it that much that I agreed to pay for?
So the people that didn't have to buy the past 2 years that wanted to buy are now gonna come back out.
Serious people coming back, they're waiting for it.
And what they pay in interest, higher interest, they're not paying in $100,000 over list price. Like,
Right.
and yes, we're back to school cycles. So are people gonna buy in the spring? Absolutely.
Jim, that's what that point is exactly what I was gonna think about. And you asked if it's a buyer seller market. I think it's a win-win for everybody. We're looking at 2 houses in Noon that were 750,000 3 months ago for 600,000. I don't care what the interest rate is.
Anybody else, does anybody else want to jump in on this? Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I'll just say the Doug Duncan next Thursday with Fannie Mae, they're projecting interest rates at 5.5 by second quarter next year. And so next Thursday, he's gonna be talking about what's going on now and the future. So I know signups were full and closed, but if you try to sign up again, they opened it and added more people. If you can't, you can reach out and I'll just let our marketing team know that you're just on the list. But since everybody's talking about what the market's gonna look like, that's a great opportunity.
Can you have it on our screen here?
Yeah, it's been up there each week. I can definitely.
Like,
Oh, you're saying live stream it?
Yeah.
No, it's live and in person.
His request.
Next Thursday morning.
How you all guys? So I want to leave you all with, in one more minute, is that the market is going to be good next year. An economist yesterday said we're probably going to have a recession in 9 months. I said, and you're basing that on what? You have a crystal no one knows about, guys. So guys, I mean, do we still have record unemployment? Okay. Do we still have record amount of lack of listings? Where's interest rate today, guys? About 7?
I said 10.
Was it 10? I was
Or is it
7.
7? Is it 7 right now, guys? Is 7 astronomically high? Is it higher than we're used to? Yes. So guys, for the people that could not buy last spring, what a beautiful thing to think, yeah, but the interest rates are higher, but the prices are what?
Lower.
Almost stable.
Guys, if you're in the game in this next 9 months, you will do well. If you're not in the game, you will not do as well. And y'all are here, so you're the ones that are in the game. Anything else you all, that you closing thoughts at all?
It's just so cool that we have, like, when I first got in and you feel so vulnerable as an individual agent, and Jennifer said, no, this is your team. I love that. This is our team. I love that we share so much. So I'm so grateful, and I love your stories.
You all just get in the game, guys. If you're in the game, you will have a great next year. If you're not, you probably will suffer. So just get in the game. Can we give them a hand for coming in for? Yay!
Thank you all. Have a good day. Thank you all so much. Fabulous. With regard, we're going to do it together.
I want to continue working.